Hello and welcome. This is a Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you so much for joining, and special welcome if you're new. So as usual, we're doing something not usual, and we're going outdoors today. So as you can tell, there's some noise going on at the neighbor's house. I hope you guys will forgive that. I just really needed to be outdoors with this message today. So the messages coming through the energy over the last, months, but literally really pounding me to formulate my thoughts and messages around this subject over the last few days, because I didn't want to bring it, but it's so pertinent right now. So getting down to everything that I want to say, it revolves around Pluto making its way through the final degrees of Capricorn, and Neptune going through the final degrees of Pisces, and Uranus right now going through the final degrees of Taurus. And so we've got several different energies at play with some powerful energies at those critical degrees. And Pluto, of course, is the slowest moving, then Neptune, and those guys have been out in those signs for so long. Uranus more like about 7 years at this point through the sign of Taurus. And what I want to talk about is how Pluto is known as the god of the underworld. Pluto takes control and power dynamics to the next level in our lives to teach us the lessons that we're here to overcome. And it isn't about disempowerment, it's about standing in our truth, authenticity, and reclaiming our own power and center, our own light quotient and light capacity as soul embodied in this entire dynamic. That's what Pluto is here to do, is to show us how to reclaim all of this sovereignty and possession of self. And until we really get those messages solidified in our energy signature, we may find ourselves dealing with so much of the suffering dilemmas that we have in this world. And you'll be familiar with many of those. The one I wanted to talk about today is manipulation and narcissist empath. So that one gets a lot of press, which is why I didn't want to talk about it. And also the false twin flame. Not that all twin flames are false, but often if you find yourself on that path, you will need to, or not need to, maybe that's the wrong word, you will most likely have to face up to the Khalil Gibran was talking about this in a famous poem that I would butcher if I tried to get it, but he was talking about the space between the strings on the instrument being, the space is where the magic happens. And I guess in opposition, the suffocation is squeezing the magic out. So I could sit here and give you all of rehashed ideas and strategies for narcissist empath, but those are all out there on the internet. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out if that's something that resonates with your life path. But I think that where I've been told to bring this message is that so many of us have been touched with things such as this narcissist empath dynamic, whether for ourselves or for those we care about. We can see them in these power and control dilemmas, either with their boss, their parents, their entitled children, their peers, some type of abuser or authority figure in their past, present, or in their narratives. We can know people that are the so-called abusers. I say so-called because, they're it's more of a spectrum than a black and white, and I think that you guys understand this. That's why this message is coming through, because this seems to be something that you may be working on already, overcoming, graduating out of this old school disempowering idea that somehow either we're not enough or that we don't fully deserve something amazing. Through misunderstandings or faulty programming, you can call it whatever it was in your situation. So here's where we get into, we've been talking quite a bit about the body with Uranus in Taurus. Taurus represents the body. It also represents the divine feminine, our ability to receive, our sense of whatever gender you are. It's the ability for us to nurture, to receive, to create, care for, to honor the physical, which is the body at the base level, the body and the earth as an extension. And so with Uranus, the change bringer, moving through the body that is Taurus, this is shaking loose all old programming that's no longer compatible with the upgrades, just like a computer system. We can envision spirituality like a cosmic brain, a great central processing unit perhaps, that everybody's ultimately plugged into this network. And some may be aware, some may be not, but we're all kind of in this together. And so if we find an offense, we can often find ourselves on the defense. And so I feel like this is all to help us to find our individual center away from the connectivity of unity consciousness. It's so important to understand that in a duality, which this universe seems to be presenting as in this third dimension or astral even, you can really perceive how we need to be aware of having a foot in both worlds. So I want to talk about how that dynamic of disempowerment actually begins to complete us and puts us into competition vibration with self and others, judgment mindsets and scarcity mindsets, thinking that we don't have the resources necessary to create success, so therefore we're victimized and limited because of those things. We've all been there in moments where we've been, let's say, betrayed or stolen from energetically or realistically, or denied something that was an injustice happening to us. So there's all kinds of ideas spinning around in our head about this, but we're overcoming these inner dilemmas and reclaiming the lessons and graduating this. So as we do so, it kept coming to me through several of my more intuitive friends that, and through my own intuition too, all of the channel, it keeps coming out, detox, and all these things. And here's the segue. I hope you guys don't mind, but if it grosses you out, I apologize in advance. But many of us are actually known to harbor parasites and fungus and various different living organisms within the microbiomes of self. It can be on skin, it can be below the skin. Here comes the wind. I hope that's not going to interfere with the speakers. But it's helping also to bring energy to the reading here. So the one thing is that it's sort of like our ability to fully purge this. It's like you can research also the correspondence between things such as, let's say, like grief and change. I don't want to set this on. Let me catch this umbrella. Dealing with change, dealing with physical loss, or somebody who has passed away from this realm, it can cause that grief process to happen. Expectations and betrayal can also, the drill, all these things creates longing and sense of loss in the self, which is the process of grief, which has multiple stages which come and go, ebb and flow, as we learn about this and determine the center. And so grief can sit in the lungs, and many people, when I use my biofeedback scanner, it's almost 100% so far. The individuals that come seeking a readout on their biosystems will have a somewhat suppressed vital capacity, which is the ability for the lungs to fully inflate and hold and then fully deflate and push the breath out. That equal exchange and full exchange, the life breath there. And some other things. One of the other main things is the body's pH. Body's pH has been proven many times over, specifically by Dr. Reif, who was one of the main individuals responsible for charting the various vibrational frequencies and energetic signatures of both illness, disease, well, both, all of the above, illness, disease, healthy systems, unhealthy systems. He determined that it was virtually impossible to harbor things such as illness and cancer and autoimmune deficiencies, to an extent, but cancer specifically, in a body that's pH was balanced. That's why the balance point is such a small area there. So, and then also primarily the lower GI area, the large intestines and colon area, are often seen to have low moving motility and not the right microbiome as far as the healthy pre and probiotics that are necessary to not only to move the food that we intake through the body, but also to allow our bodies to absorb, process, and exchange the nutrients and vitamins and all the other things that are essential to regenerating the body's physicality. And if you look through other literature, you will find that many of the body systems, even the brain, can regenerate itself by cellular regeneration through healthy practices and things like that, feeding the cells at that base level with what they need and making sure we're not overdoing something at the same time, because one size does not fit all. In that state, your tissues can be reborn. You can also use vibrational frequencies for your chakras, things like that. But here's where I get full circle, parasites. I believe that in this time where Pluto is having this resurgence, we're seeing things on the global scale, like the resurgence and resurrection of the authoritarian regimes and the disenfranchised individuals that want to point fingers, which is this toxicity that has risen in recent centuries that just keeps, bubbling below the surface. And there are very enormous elevations and evolutions going on at the consciousness level, in our chakras, our alchemy, and the ascension symptoms that are coming through us are all challenging us in powerful ways. And so that's Neptune at the end of Pisces. Pisces is like, you've got to learn your spiritual lessons in order to advance in your spiritual gifts and practice. And one of those things is to take care of the physical body and the physical vessel, which is absolutely about balancing your energy systems, because that is where you are creating your body's physicality, and also feeding ourselves the correct things and abstaining and limiting and balancing out our indulgences in the wrong realms. And so we're taking our power back from our own disenfranchisement and from our own self-punishment, or self-soothing, self-comforting behaviors, whatever it might be. But as a collective, there are so many nuances and ways that this can show up in our lives. And some of us are further ahead than others, and we're able to indicate and show indicators to others. Hey, you might be self-soothing if, or you may have a trauma response pattern if you engage in these thoughts or belief patterns or behaviors. And so we're educating each other, this powerful internet age is beautiful because it's helping us to connect, but it's also tragically sad for some because we can see so much of the underbelly at the same time. But both extremities are present. And so to the extent that we can process, integrate those lessons, and then eradicate the poisons, the demons, the spiritual demons, and alchemize, transmute those energies like little earthworms here in this realm. We take everything in through our energetic systems, through our auric shield, and then we are processing and then releasing this out into the world and making choices, using our voice and advocating. And so I feel that parasites that are so prevalent in our system are one of the things that perhaps some of us might have an idea to pursue. I mean, everybody will have their own detox practices. It might be on the energetic level, it might be on the emotional level, and it may be on the literal parasite, fungus, detox, cleanse each one of your organs type things. And there are many ways, and not all will be body safe for you. So make sure to do your research. And I am no medical doctor, and I'm not trying to give medical advice. Just need to put that out there for everybody. But you know, if you've got some medical issues, you probably should check with a medical professional before changing anything. So there you have my disclaimer. So beyond that, I feel that this coming phase is going to be a critical turning of the page, which many of us have been waiting for that finality to come with the age of Aquarius. And as I often say, it's not going to be all unicorn and rainbows, folks. Every sign has its dark side. Just because it's the sign of progress doesn't mean it's the direction of progress that each individual wants to have. That's why we have different ideas. And so I wonder how many of us can work on sovereignty, inner accountability, and personal responsibility for do harm to none through your practices and perspectives and projections, right? Those of us that are here, we most likely aspire to be that individual, and we will be encountering those who aren't ready to make that decision and commitment to the higher truth. They're somewhat still in either a wounded perspective or a self-centered perspective, and so on. But those of us tuning in here are the forebearers. We are the ones that are connected to our truth in our center. And if we've been dealing with this fatigue this year, or other things coming up, like I even have thought this a few times during this broadcast, there has been for me different times where I might have an upset that's not specific to a cause, so to speak, beyond the energetic, like soreness in the body, GI disturbances, and skin rashes, things like that can come up when there is something. You can look at the correspondence to whatever anomaly you are looking at, and instead of looking at symptoms, look at correspondence with energetic or emotional release, because I think that can help the physical to heal when we're aware of that deeper level. And for some, you may want to check in with your higher selves, your guides, guardians, whatever, through free writing, things like that, or deeper meditation, connecting with the self. And lastly, before I reveal what's already popped out here, sorry about the shake, the emotional realms, sometimes while I'm doing my research, particularly into the narcissist dilemmas that many people will get out there and put content out there about, often the complementary broken side of things, broken, it's a terrible word to use, I apologize, the wounded expression and its label sometimes can be different in psychology, but one of the common completers of narcissist is the borderline personality, and sometimes it can somewhat seem to be interchangeable on a few of the different traits, but quite different. You'll have to look into that if that's something that appeals to you. But along those lines, I was looking into this and feeling my way through, and it was it's talking about how many of us, we feel inside these anxieties, intrusive thoughts, or something such as that, intrusive narratives of victimization, limitation, and so on. And we may think that we are so emotional, and so we might be highly sensitive individuals on the inner landscape, but because of being either shamed or neglect or disregarded or gaslit in previous situations, even culturally, don't cry, don't be a baby, don't be so sensitive, or man up, or bootstraps, or whatever else. We've been programmed to not believe that our emotions are appropriate, or that they are powerful, or that they are valid. And I think that many of us need to learn to stop looking for outer validation. When an emotion arises, it's evidence of something working its way through our body. And the body is the magic. That's where the magic happens. And if the body is in a state that needs addressing, then it's going to come out. So, you may be surrounded by people, and you may come to thoughts where, oh, well, this individual, they're so emotional this way, or this person is unstable this way. And then what we project, or what we suspect or observe in other individuals, can also be a mirror looking at the self. Not that we're necessarily that way, but it shows some type of polarity about, our views on that are more related to what's going on inside of us than inside of them. And we know this, right? So the two cards popping out are fertility and authority. So this is about being a very creative, mature, and awakened and aware individual. You're gaining leadership skills with all of the practices that you've been able to utilize. You've been able to create compost out of your shadow integration process, which has laid a fertile foundation for you to grow and expand. And it may give you insights that would really help you to do something such as like a life coach or something like that. Belief is on the bottom of the deck. So working to expand the awareness of others and help them to have greater faith is also part of that. Yes, prosperity. Your awakening awareness in the abundance mindset, in the interconnectivity of people surrounding you. Yes, it's expanding consciousness. You are bringing this abundance mindset, which is then showing itself as the literal manifestation in your life, but you're also being a way shower here to help other individuals to get better, not bitter. Oh, I can't shuffle and catch that umbrella if it tries to move. Change under the deck here, and we've got a few popping out. Upright, we have passion with soul time. Interesting here. It seems like, passion to me is talking about those passionate emotions, that intense emotionality that comes through whatever gender you are, coming through that feminine aspect of self, where it's like the space between cause and effect is the liminal space of what is happening in our inner landscape. Narratives, perspectives, and emotional shifts and changes. And the more that we are awakened and aware to that on that soul level, we are plugged into deeper and deeper layers of consciousness and able to shift the dynamic instead of perpetuating and participating in things that are unhealthy for self and other and for the greater of humanity. It's like you're utilizing your emotional alchemy to awaken souls to their own ability to choose prosperity over competition here. Tantric journey was upside down. Beautiful. And if you've been watching, you know that tantric journey for me is not only about that sexual, sacred sexual energy of blending and completing and combining resources between us and the environment and others. It's about the inner connectivity that's happening first, being able to not only be humble and gracious and friendly and faith believing and all that. It's also the ability to be ferocious and self-contained and disciplined. And discipline is kind of an awkward word to use here. It's about our ability to believe in actionable steps and through steady progress towards things that are both aligned with our integrity and our authenticity and our soul urge here, the emotionality that comes behind it, behind inspiration. Inspiration is like inspired momentum is kind of where I want to go when that blending happens, and it's just so perfect. Perfect. That's where change really starts to happen at the deepest levels of who we are. And when we show up shifted and changed, that's when big change happens in the outer world as well. So let's see, caretaker under the deck here is looking like that authority card. Let's get a couple shuffles in here before we take some. Okay, that one wants to come out though. Who am I to say, Spirit? Show me the cards that will help us to understand what's going on here. Underneath the deck, Celestial, there's that card that has been showing up as the convergence process for months now, literally. Bringing online all that we are. That is the card of that tantric journey of the mix, the alchemical process of being soul embodied, so not standing beside ourselves, but really getting into our center and delighting in the sensuality of the process of being human. It's like, it's giving me the image of as a child walking out into the mud puddles barefoot and letting the gross mud squish between my toes. It was such a literal sensual experience of texture and engaging in earth, water, and curiosity, the spark of curiosity, that fire, Oh my gosh, look at what pops out. So I saw the right card flip out, but so I don't want to get flagged for saying anything too many times, but we have integrity, right, and sexuality. So, through being in our character, in our integrity, we already talked about that card earlier before it came out. We are then our own passionate authority, and we get more power and more magnetism, because when we stand in integrity, others feel it, sense it, and follow our direction and lead. We become influencers. Maybe you are becoming an influencer. We become authorities in our own lives, and people naturally gravitate towards that. So fertility and soul time, that fertile process, taking the time to write things out, it rewrites our brain chemistry, it rewrites our body chemistry, and it rewrites our future destiny. And it pulls those things forward. So we're rewriting our own DNA with fertility, because fertility is often my card of being able to nurture the body, the actual DNA, to feed it what it needs to be fertile in this world in that way. That fully empowered way is to take care of the physical and the experiential and the soul spiritual body. And then over prosperity of tantric union, this is that Hieros Gamos moment where the inner, the above and below, the within and the without, the universe and soul are deeply plugging into each other. I'm seeing that image. Is it a Michelangelo where man reaches out to God across the way, and they like touch hands or fingers or something. It's like that's kind of the process going on for each of us now as we reclaim all of our soul parts, all of these cosmic celestial soul parts coming into the body so deeply and so empowered that we are changing our future, I feel, on some type of level. It looks like we're going to run out of time here. A couple cards are going to pop out of the Akashic Tarot deck. I hope you guys enjoyed and got some messages out of this. And let me know if you want to go through some more health-related topics. I'd be interested in telling you guys more about the products that could be helpful for various different things. Initiation of the Count Saint Germain under the deck. Yes, the I am consciousness and transmutation through the violet flame. The only ones popping upright are setting your course. Three of Scrolls is the Swords air suit, and Queen of Keys, the Pentacles earth suit. We have looking out, looking towards the future through our future ability to manifest. And underneath we have the Lightning Bolt, Eight of Forces. That's the Wands, communications coming in from beyond. Queen of Scrolls, authority figure and truth and justice. The Journey, preparing the way. And then we have One of Keys, the Architect, building that firm foundation online with your previous incarnations and skill sets from North and South Node. Clearing the way. Four of Keys is getting very firm about the resources we do have and manifesting a way forward, being able to plug into that deeply and to problem solve. And Uriel and the Sphinx, you're digging yourself out of any type of misunderstandings and reclaiming all that you are. You're connecting to the great mysteries, the occult, and the wisdom, the Akashic wisdom that is your inheritance here on this world, in this world. And what is your calling? What is your gift that you're ready and willing and able to invoke here and now? And it's all coming online here. So Spirit is helping you to clear the way now that you have reached a certain level in your experience, your growth, your alchemical process and achievements. You're maturing out of your old karma and you're being assisted. Spirit is clearing the way for you so that you can build upon that firm foundation. And so many of you will be coming into this and helping others to get out of some type of confusion, to reclaim their power and identity and their ability to witness this world as a prosperous universe. You're plugging people back into their personal power and capacity to love themselves and to shift and change their own realities, to rewrite their DNA. So yeah, you guys are all masters too. If you're interested, create some conversations down below. I'm sure many of you guys have a lot of insights that you want to share with each other and a lot of wisdom. So let's build some community, folks. Loving you so much, sending you so much appreciation and joy. And yeah, take care of yourselves until next time, folks.